Good.
We're not gonna do the intros. We came here to say we wanna.
I gotta get to it. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to learn how to do this thing. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
If you would have logged me in, I could have done it.
I got you, bro. I got you. I got you.
Came here to say who won it from the jump. Came here to say get exactly what you want. Came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, we live, you know. We came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, the sports show.
Yerrr!
Yerrr!
Welcome and salutations, everybody, to your sports show, episode 166, live on this Wednesday, October the 9th. I am the voice of a generation, Pete Rosado, alongside Henny Bobby Brown himself, BK Madden. Of course, we saved the best for last. I didn't have enough memory, Tay, to get all the nicknames. The list is too long. 50K Tay, the Queen of Queens, the Mother of Dragons, all of it. The one, the only back-to-back winner of Pick 5, the Queen Tay.
That is more like it, Peter.
Mother
Thank you
of
very
dragons.
much. Yes, Tavia Targaryen in the house.
There we go. And listen, speaking about dragons, let's start with the breaking news of the evening. The New York Metropolitans slaying the dragon that is the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets are in the National League Championship Series. Yankees fighting for their life right now in the middle of Game 3, tied 2-2 with the Royals. But the Mets, the amazing Mets, living up to their nickname, running through this postseason. Francisco Lindor hitting a grand slam, accounting for all 4 runs in the Mets 4-1 Game 4 victory. They beat the Phillies 3-1. Matt Tay, when we talk about the Mets, we always talk about the redheaded stepchild to the Yankees, and not only are they in the National League Championship Series, one series away from the World Series, they punched their ticket before the almighty Yankees.
So let me just say right now, I am a Yankees fan, but I am not opposed. The Nets are my National League team, right? What you were noticing towards the middle end of the season, the Mets had a resurgence, and they were starting to look. They had a shaky start, which to me was the reason why their record did not reflect the talent that they were showing towards the middle end of the season. But where they are, I am not surprised. Yankees, where they are right now, fighting for their lives, I am also not surprised about as well, because while they started the season off strong, once you noticed in like late July, early August, they started looking shaky and they couldn't get hits.
Yeah.
They couldn't get hits. And, at the end of the day, the Mets are doing exactly what I was predicting they do at this point about 3-4 months ago. I don't follow religiously. Like, that's not like who I am. I follow a lot closer during the playoffs. I'm just going to be completely honest. That's just been my track record. But the Mets are playing at a level where they've been playing consistently, but they were a sleeper team. People were not paying them attention at all because no one was talking about them at all. But I'm very proud of the New York team, the team in Queens. I hope we can see the Mets in the World Series. I'm not a hater. It's not like it's the Braves. I'm not a fan of the Braves at all. But I just hope that the Yankees could turn it around. I almost lost sleep over their loss the other night.
Oh yeah, that was a bad loss in game.
That was a terrible
in
loss.
Game 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was hoping that they shake it off. They look pretty impressive Game 1. Game 2, they didn't look a little shaky. Tonight, they're kind of, Kansas City's kind of giving them a run for their money. Kansas City is one of the worst cities in America, but yeah. I
As
was
an
like
update,
3 things.
Yankees just went up 3-2. Giancarlo Stanton hitting a solo home run in the top of the 8th inning. Yankees up 3-2, top of the 8th, 1 out. So hopefully turning it around.
Yeah. So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everything in between.
So hold on, is that your favorite? This is your favorites to get to the World Series? Is that what it is? No, the Mets. That's what
Yes.
I'm asking both of you because
Yes.
you know me. I'm not a baseball enthusiast and none of that. Go Yankees, hopefully. But
from a sentimental standpoint in the National League, I'd love to see the Mets make the World Series. My dad and my grandfather, God rest his soul, my dad and my grandfather, both Met fans. I grew up, watching a lot more Met games, going to a lot more Met games than I did.
Not really, but
I
used to go. My stepdad was a Yankees fan. Is a Yankees fan. My dad's a Mets fan. So I spent a lot of time in Shea Stadium during the Bobby Bonilla days.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time at Yankee Stadium during the glory days of the 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Even going to a couple of World Series games in my heyday. But yeah, I think the Mets are the real deal. I think the Mets are the real deal. And to be honest with you, and it pains me to say this, I don't think if the Yankees make it through, I don't think they want to see the Mets in the World Series.
No, especially after the Mets swept the Yankees in their season series this year. Right now, every Met fan is a San Diego Padres fan right now because the Padres obviously playing the Dodgers, San Diego leading that series 2-1. Right now, the Dodgers are winning 2-0 in the second inning of their game 4. So that could, and listen, if San Diego and the Dodgers end up playing this out to a longer series, a 5, 6, 7 game series, that helps the Mets because it allows for them to get help. It allows them to get healthy. It allows them to rest up, get their team ready to go for that National League Championship Series. But every Met fan right now, I believe, is a San Diego fan. I don't think you want to face the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers have had their issues. You don't want to face Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani. You just don't want to go through that offense.
Shohei Ohtani is going to put on if they make it to the the series, if they make it to the end, into the championship series, right? Shohei Ohtani is going to go off.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I know it. You know it.
Yeah, if you're the Mets, you don't want to see that offense, definitely. But again, if you're the Yankees right now, not only are you hoping to beat the Royals, and as a Yankee fan, yes, I want my Yankees always to make it as far as they can. But you're also hoping that Detroit is able to pull out this series against the Cleveland Guardians. Detroit winning game 3 today to go up 2-1 against the Cleveland Guardians. You're hoping that the Tigers can beat the Guardians because the Tigers would be an easier team for you in the ALCS. I still remember 2000. I still remember when it was the Yankees-Mets Subway World Series. The Yankees were a powerhouse juggernaut team at that time. There was no beating them. The Mets were lucky to be there in 2000. And unfortunately they got gentlemen sweep 4-1. I think this year would be a lot closer of a series, even though I think the Yankees are nowhere, even though the Yankees on paper are a better team than the Mets. But I think the way the Yankees have been playing this year, as Tavia said, they've been terrible at getting hits with runners in scoring position. Their pitching staff has not been what it's supposed to be. Even Garrett Cole has not been what Garrett Cole is supposed to be. But, speaking about success in New York, let's also give it up for the New York Liberty. Going to the WNBA Finals, beating the defending champions, Las Vegas Aces, getting that.
Leaving their Timbs on the floor, baby. That's how you do it, New York style.
Yeah, and you got to look at it. They're looking to win their first championship, and they're going to be facing the Minnesota Lynx, who are looking to win their their 5th title in their history. is what's going to be the story for the Liberty if they can't get it done? Is it going to be the Lynx was the better team, or is it going to be that the Liberty bungled probably their best chance to win a WNBA finals?
Yeah, the Liberty to win is on them.
Yeah.
I think they have the tools to beat the Lynx. I think they need to be able to do it. I mean, how many times have the women been, hold on, as you can hear in Brooklyn, there's always your friendly neighborhood helicopter close by. NYPD, do your due diligence. Go softly into the night. But I believe that the Liberty have looked dominant most of the season. Um, I believe like Ionescu is one of the best players in the league. No, everybody got swept up in the whole Caitlin Clark conversation that you didn't realize that there was a beast growing in Brooklyn that has been in Brooklyn for a while. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like the momentum swing is on the Liberty side. But Minnesota ain't nothing to scoff at either. But how many times are the women of the Liberty going to be invited to the dance and not take the damn lead?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a long time coming.
Never the bride.
No,
I think this
Minnesota
is their
Liberty.
year, though.
It's a long time coming. I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
They were in the first finals.
Yeah, I think we all kind of had that feeling that if there was ever going to be a championship coming, a basketball championship coming to New York, it would be in the hands of the Liberty, and that's clearly like they were there last year. We saw it like they were that close last year. So it's like Tay said, it's like how many times you gonna be invited to the dance and you don't pull up to the show, which you were. And I feel like this is their best opportunity. Yeah, they're going against the defensive player of the year and the FISA Collier and everything, but I still feel like the Liberty has the tools. They have the rock. Look, hands down, we knew that the top three teams in the WNBA roster wise was the Aces, the Liberty, and the Phoenix team too, in a sense, with Taurasi and them. But we knew that it belonged to the two teams whether it was the Aces or whether it was the Liberty, because they were the ranked top teams. They were the dominant teams in the WNBA. Granted, all the Caitlin Clark, fanfare brought everybody to the dance to watch. What was known and what was understood did not need to be talked about, because if you watched last year, you already knew what it was headed for. We knew the championship was coming it was either going to come to Las Vegas or was coming to New York. Now, Minnesota's it's not a slouch, but they got their work cut out for them in the Liberty.
Do you think this is a short series or is this a full series?
No, it's going to be a full series. We're talking about money, man. We're talking about money. You got all the odds. I think it's competitive. Like I said, Minnesota's not a bad team. The Liberty is a complete team, but Minnesota, they play defense. They are rough. They are rough around the edges as well. It all adds up to whether or not if the lights are too bright for New York, which it shouldn't be, because it's always bright in New York. But I don't see the Liberty dropping this because I feel like they wanted it. Like dealing with that heartbreak last year after they pretty much was like the only team in the league that was giving the Aces their asses last year, for them to lose to the Aces in the finals. Again, heartbreak. You sit back and reevaluate everything. Mistakes, what you could have done better, what you could have worked on, and I feel like they did all of that. So I don't, like I said, it's the Liberty to lose, to answer your question.
Liberty opening up game one as a 6.5 point favorite. So Liberty, obviously the favorites in this series. I think about 60% of bettors have the Liberty beating the Lynx. Liberty have been great at home. Barclays Center is going to be rocking.
I'm going to take my daughter to one of the games at least. We've been to a couple of Liberty games this season. If I was I'm not a betting woman as far as sports are concerned. I'm not a sports bettor, but for me, it's Knicks, Liberty in 6.
Well, it's a 5-game series.
I mean, Liberty in 5.
So you think it's gonna go the distance?
Yes.
Money. They got all the eyes in the
Not
world
Knicks
watching
in
them
6.
now.
I'm so used to saying. Remember we were saying Knicks in 6, and they kept losing. So Liberty in 5.
Well, Matt, you brought it up, and Tay, you transition right to it. Let's go there, right? The Liberty may be bringing the first basketball championship in over 50 years to New York, but
it takes women to do it.
There you go. But everybody this week, this past week,
whole crackhead outside, just
Lord,
yelling and screaming for no reason.
Well, love, it's the Brooklyn way.
It's probably because of what we're about to talk about. It's probably
takes me away.
That crackhead is probably still celebrating what many Knicks have been talking about for a week. The trade that brought Karl-Anthony Towns.
I haven't been talking about it, so don't even say that Knicks fans have been talking about it for a week. I haven't talked about it at all.
Should I do it? Pete, should I do it?
Hold on. Let me intro it, and then, yes, you got it, Matt. The trade that brought Karl-Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks, the Knicks trading away the major piece.
Energy tonight.
Let's
makeup.
Lord.
Let's go over the quick specifics of the trade.
Let's not go over the quick trade.
The Knicks trading away Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. 3-team trade and acquiring Karl-Anthony Towns and a first-round pick. Matt, floor's yours.
We interrupt your current program with a special State of the Athlete report. This is Brooklyn Matt.
Ladies and gentlemen, like the hostess has been saying, one of the biggest trades that we've been asking for the last 2 fucking years happened. It happened over the weekend, folks, and I couldn't be more proud. Karl-Anthony Towns is on the Knicks. We got rid of Julius Randle, who's been getting paid like a 20-ounce bottle of Sprite when boy is nothing but a quart of water. I've been saying it for years. Pete's been arguing with me. It's 25 and 10. It's 25 and 10.
I don't have a good feeling about this.
The only heartbreak in this trade is we lose Dante DiVincenzo, who was balling in the playoffs. He was balling. Everybody's all up in arms. I want the Nova Knicks. I want the Nova Knicks. Only forgetting Villanova's in Pennsylvania, bro. It's in Pennsylvania. That's not the New York way, bro. It's not. And we got McCall Bridges. You can't have everything. OG, got McCall Bridges, lost Hartenstein, lost Dante DiVincenzo, lost Randall. What do? You lost your rebounding, you lost your shot blocking, you lost your rim protecting, because Mitchell Robinson is never healthy. I swear to God, he's like the second coming of Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard. Boy is literally on maternity leave right now as we're speaking. That's what's happening right now. Don't have a big man. We was literally about to go into the season with Julius Randle playing the 5. Motherfucker, for what? Why? This is the shit that I be talking about. And you motherfuckers got the audacity really sit here and tell me that this trade is worse than the Melo trade?
Oh, not at all. I mean, let me tell you something. I believe this. All right. You see me? I'm kind of tepid about the trade. Not gonna hold you. A little tepid. Not because the Nova Knicks and all stuff like that. What I would say about Julius Randle, though, like I said, I saw both sides of you and Pete's never-ending saga about Julius Randle. He gave a lot of solid minutes and gave a lot of solid production, especially on the defensive end. My biggest concern always is the Tom Thibodeau's ground and pound style of defense. And if that sustainability can help this team, I realize the reason why the Knicks are not where they okay. The reason why the Knicks are the perennial underdogs is because by the time they make it to the playoffs, they are so worn out, so injured, so done and depleted that like you don't really, you're like, damn, put this cat out of his misery, dude. Like, it's at that point. So I'm concerned more with how we protect the players' health for this season more than anything, because I don't feel like the bench has improved significantly. You know what I'm saying? When we're looking at top line issues, right? Carl Anthony Towns is like a grade B superstar, A minus. You know what I'm saying? So you're getting a lot of talent, right? But what happens, God forbid, if he can't hack it this season, the entirety? Then you are worse off than you were with Randall or without Randall. This makes them a better team, of course, but we have bigger issues with the Knicks. The biggest issue with that, they almost called me to suit up and play the 2.
Nah, we might have needed you to play the 4 or the 5.
Yeah, you would have played the 0.
You right? I ain't lying about that. My knees is bad.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to work on my knees now because I'm in midlife crisis stage, and mama gonna have to do some things.
Oh,
Okay,
dude,
I don't
what the
go
fuck?
there. I don't want to go there.
Dude.
But let's.
I really could have fit in this parking spot.
Let's
hold on.
let's just do what I'm gonna kind of look at the last. I just want to look at the last 5 years, right? Comparing the last 5 years of Karl Anthony Towns with the Timberwolves and the last 5 years that Julius Randle spent with the
Knicks. I think that's a fair comparison.
2019 to 2024.
Let's not go 5 seasons. That's too far.
Well,
let's
let's
go post bubble. Let's do post bubble.
Okay,
let's start with 2021.
Yeah, so I have the averages for Randall. Just I did it for the last 5 years while you guys were talking. Randall averaged 66 games a season. His lowest season was the one season where he was injured, where he ended up only playing in 46 games, which was this last season. Every other year, he's played over 64 games as a member of the Knicks. 22.6 points per game. His lowest was his first year with the Knicks at 19.5. 9.8 rebounds a game. His lowest was his this last year at 9.2. 44% from the field. His lowest field goal percentage was 21-22 at 41.1. And he averaged 33% from three-point land, with his lowest average actually being his first year with the Knicks at 27.7. Now, when we look at Karl Anthony Towns, there's been three out of the last 5 years where he has played 50 games or less. Okay.
Yes, that was my concern.
That's a big thing. 21-22, he played 74 games, and then 23-24, he played 62 games. But last year, he only played, the year before last, he only played in 29 games. He only played in 50 games during the 2020-2021 season. And in the 19-20 season, he played 35 games. And what's also been increasingly problematic for me is his rebounding numbers have dropped. This was a man that between 2016 and 2019 was averaging over 12 rebounds a game. And in the last 5 years, he's gone from 10.8 to 8.3 last year. So his rebounding numbers are dropping precipitously. Now, granted, his three-point percentage has gone up. He had his highest three-point percentage this past year at 41.6. I apologize. He did shoot 42% earlier in his career, but he started to become more of a three-point shooter as a stretch 5 versus a 7-footer who can rebound the ball. And when you talk about losing Hartenstein, who was a rebounder and an interior defender, and now you're losing Randall. You have now lost the major source for the most of your rebounds. And now you're getting a 7-foot big man who has not been rebounding well over the last 3 years, whose rebounding numbers have dropped. I don't need another 3-point shooter, especially as a 4 or a 5. I need somebody who can play defense. I need somebody who can get rebounds. Right now, the Knicks have Jalen Brunson, who's a driver or a 3-point shooter. You've got Hart, who's a driver. You've got Bridges, but you got Bridges, who's a 3-point shooter. And now you've got Karl Anthony Towns, who's a 3-point shooter.
He had 12 rebounds tonight.
Right, but is that going to be what he's going to do every night? Because, again, the last 2 years with the Timberwolves, he's averaged 8.3 and 8.1 rebounds. And, again, this is down from his career high of 12.4. That was in the 2018-2019 year. Ever since that year, his rebounds have gone down 2 to 3 rebounds per game every year.
Because he switched to the 4. Naz Reid was the starting center, and then they got Rudy Gobert. So he was typically a 4. But in the playoffs, his numbers reached like rose because Rudy Gobert is a bum. I'm not afraid to say it. He's a bum. And if we're talking about injuries, look, injuries happen. We know this. If we're going to play the injury game, let's be 100. Julius Randle hasn't really been healthy the last 3-4 years either. So, I mean, there's that. Mitchell Robinson.
Well, last year was the only year he played under 60 games.
We're talking, all right, but we know this is the problem that I have with certain like fans. Yeah, the regular season matters, but like Tavia says, like Tom Thibodeau's system. You get ran to the ground, and then when you really need them in the postseason, that's when they go missing. And it's like put old Yeller out his goddamn misery. And Julius Randle has not been consistently there for the postseason. 100. Now, granted, Minnesota barely makes the playoffs, but last year they went to the Western Conference Finals, and a lot of that had to do with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. So, with that being said, I'm for the trade. We lost Hartenstein, who's a rebounder and a perimeter defender.
Hartenstein was a loss.
He was the major loss. He was a major loss. But we understood if we had to choose between the two, I felt like OG Anunoby was the key re-sign, not Hartenstein. We all agreed to that. Right? So I feel like OG Anunoby is a good rebounder. He is a perimeter defender. He can protect the rim. Karl Anthony Towns has played in the Tom Thibodeau system, and his best numbers were under Tom Thibodeau.
Yes.
In Minnesota. So I like that matchup, and you know how Tibbs is. He likes to bring athletes and stars that he personally worked with and bring them back to under his system, because who knows his system better than players that played under his system and thrive, like a Jimmy Butler, like a Taj Gibson, like a Joakim Noah, like a Derrick Rose, also like a Karl Anthony Towns. So, granted, the biggest worry with a Karl Anthony Towns signing on the New York Knicks is health, right? Mitchell Robinson is the perfect example of that. But you have enough dogs on that New York Knicks squad where they were really fully prepared to play 5 down with Julius Randle running the 5 because Mitchell Robinson was not going to be available. So I feel like everybody's all up in arms, and everybody can say he's soft. The Boston Celtics just won the championship, and that whole roster is soft, except for Jaylen Brown. Let's be realistic. So, I mean, I get everybody's gripe about it, but I really feel like let them play. Like I just told Pete just a minute ago, Karl Anthony Towns just dropped 25 and 12 in the preseason game against the Wizards.
He shouldn't be playing as much in the preseason either.
It's about chemistry. That's all it is.
And it's the Wizards.
Yeah,
it's the Wizards. I will say this. to your point about the trade, and I said this, I think it was a very smart trade. You were never going to get higher value for Dante DiVincenzo than you were at this point, right? DiVincenzo had one of the best seasons of his career last year, and he knew Mikal Bridges came in. You're now probably going to sit on the bench. You know that Tibbs really loves Deuce McBride, right? When they re-signed OG, you knew you were coming off that bench and you were not going to be getting the minutes and the shots that you got last year. DiVincenzo had a career year last year, and the Knicks were smart to spin him now for the highest value you were going to get for him. And it was smart. Not only did they get Cat, they got a first-round pick back. But my issue with this trade, as is my issue with just about any trade that we see nowadays in the NBA, is depth, right? Because when I'm looking at the depth chart for the Knicks, Deuce McBride is your number one option at both the 1 and the 2, right? I assume your starting lineup is going to be Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, and Cat until Mitchell Robinson comes back. And then you'll probably have Mitchell and Karl Anthony Towns playing the 4 and the 5. I think that Precious Achiuwa should be starting at the power forward position. I believe Josh Hart should be coming off the bench, and OG should be the 3. That is my own personal opinion. But when I'm looking at this team, you don't have a lot of depth. You got Deuce McBride. You've got Precious Achiuwa right now as your main 2 guys off the bench. Mitchell Robinson's hurt. Jericho Sims is still there, but we got to worry about whether or not he's going to stay healthy as well. And then you've got Cameron Payne, Landry Shamet, Tyler Kolek. You don't really have a lot of depth behind those big-name guys. And this is an NBA season where guys go down, and Tay brought it up, that Thibodeau system.
How far do they go down?
Yeah, well, listen, depends. Depends how short the king is. But Matt is just done. But guys are going to get hurt this year. God willing, it's not a serious injury. Guys are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Who's going to step up when these stars go down? And we've said this about other super teams, right? When the stars go down, who's stepping up?
The girls at the massage parlors.
Well, listen, don't send Deshaun Watson there.
I'm about to say, you know.
Don't send Deshaun Watson, but I will. I'm gonna use that right now, Tay. But let me just say this. This has been my issue with the NBA. We grew up in an era, obviously, we talk all the time about the era of the NBA we all grew up in. The one thing that was very always apparent in that era of the NBA, especially like the late 80s, 90s, into the early 2000s, was deep bench play. You knew the first 3 guys coming off the bench for an NBA team, and they were productive.
They could be the starters.
Right. Nowadays, sometimes you may know the 6th man, and that's it. But speaking about massage parlors, Tay, you know who has a lot of time to go to massage parlors right now?
Who?
Robert Saleh has a lot of time on his hands.
Oh, let me tell you about that.
Go to massage parlors. Go ahead, Tay.
You mean to tell me Aaron Rodgers comes to the New York Jets, and all of a sudden, Robert Saleh gets kicked on his ass a couple weeks later? And let me tell you something. Be real. Let's be real here. The Jets are underperforming. Aaron is not playing his best football. And the thing is, too, it's like, what could you expect from him at this juncture in his career? Let's be real. Was it the coaching? I don't think so. I think Robert Saleh got effed over. I'm just going to be real with you. I mean, they had a shaky start. Don't get me wrong. Right? But I believe that he deserved the respect enough to have finished out the season. Yeah. I think what they did to him was disrespectful.
I
think that it was partly political.
Definitely.
Let's be real here. And I also think that Aaron Rodgers is a cancer to the teams that he goes to. He has a very tough. Once he shunned Robert from hugging him, I think it was game 2. Robert Saleh went for a hug and he was like, "Don't touch me." I knew that Saleh's days as a Jets head coach were as numbered as
He wasn't vaccinated. He just didn't want to catch a cold. That was about. The virus going around.
So I say this to say, I don't believe that was the right choice. I thought Saleh was a decent coach for that team.
He's a really good coach.
I really thought he was a good coach. And to be honest with you, the Jets are not doing no worse than 70% of the teams in the league.
Facts.
If they were doing abysmally, like say if they were 0-5, right? Then that is cause for panic. But you have a geriatric quarterback who is no longer mobile. That was his claim to fame. You get what I'm saying? There is no chemistry. There is no reason why there's zero chemistry between the O-line, the receivers, and Aaron Rodgers. And let me tell you something. It ain't a Robert Saleh issue. The way they handled that man was disrespectful. You know it was.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I am not going to disagree with you.
And I heard he was escorted out of the building as well.
Apparently, company policy, stuff like that.
People don't understand how inhumane that is.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's happened to me. Listen, I was, I think it was my second year in education. The school that I was at, they decided they weren't going to bring me back the next year, which, hey, no problem. I get it. And then it was just like, hey, we got to have you walked out the building. I was like, this is just kind of weird. It's like, it's not like I caused the problem or anything. I agree with you 100%, Tay, in the sense that I think Robert Saleh should have been given the opportunity to end the season. There's a lot of things that come into this, right? When I'm looking at the Jets' record in the 4 years that Robert Saleh was the head coach, we're talking, 2021, they went 4-13. 2022, they went 7-10. Last year, they went 7-10. And right now, they're 2-3. Now, the first 2 years that Robert Saleh was the Jets coach, their quarterback was Zach Wilson. So that is what that is. Now, there's a story that came out shortly after Robert Saleh got relieved of his duties as the head coach of the Jets. 2 stories that came out that I thought were very interesting. One, Robert Saleh never wanted to use the second pick in the 2021 draft to draft Zach Wilson. He wanted to keep Sam Darnold as the quarterback because he believed that Sam Darnold would have been better off without Adam Gase as the head coach. So he wanted to keep Sam Darnold and trade the second pick to start building around Sam Darnold. That was one story that I heard just in the last 24 hours about Robert Saleh. And I like, listen, when we're seeing what Sam Darnold's doing this year and what he did last year, okay, you're muted.
Thank God we're at 4 because I hate this weird close-up. You see it up my damn nostrils. I have a cold. And I have a cold, so it looks like I have like cocaine up my nose.
Yeah, when you talk about
place, please.
When you talk about what Sam Darnold's doing this year right now with the Minnesota Vikings and the way that he played last year, you think back, you're like, well, shit, if the Jets had kept Sam Darnold, not drafted Zach Wilson, maybe we would have had that type of play, right? And then you Robert Saleh, in my opinion, last year doesn't count for him, right? Like, you got Aaron Rodgers, you built this team to play around Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers went down in 4 snaps, right? It's a shit show at that point.
Well, why are you still building teams around Aaron Rodgers?
Agreed. I get that part.
And there's no sense.
Now, the second story I heard today, just this morning, is
Was
that
it Palestinian support?
well, no, apparently the day that Robert Saleh got fired, literally an hour before that, Robert Saleh had communicated that he was going to relieve Nathaniel Hackett of play calling responsibilities as the offensive coordinator. And we all know Nathaniel Hackett is very good friends with one Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Take that with
Let me
whatever
tell you
grain of
something.
salt you want.
Let me tell you something tonight. Aaron Rodgers got that man fired. What's that owner's name again? Woody something? What's his name?
The ambassador to London, I believe.
Woody Johnson?
The ambassador.
Weren't they were overseas last week, right?
They lost in London. And apparently a lot of people said that Woody was very embarrassed because he was a former United States ambassador to the United Kingdom. And he has a lot of influential friends in London. And they went to the game to see the Jets. And the Jets laid an egg. And Woody was embarrassed.
Aaron Rodgers got that man fired. I don't care what nobody say. He
We've been
called
doing this show for 4 years, and the Aaron Rodgers slander just won't stop. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
It's unfolded in front of your eyes. Be on the right side of history. That man.
Now, I will say this about Robert Saleh, the coach.
You're not supposed to be building teams around Aaron Rodgers. He's 115 years old in football years. Let's just be real here.
So is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but they're not building no teams around Russell Wilson, are they? I haven't seen him off the bench this whole season. But you know what? That's for another conversation. No, you're not supposed to be building teams around Russell Wilson either. No, you're not. You're supposed to be building a team around the future and using your veteran superstar as an anchor to ensure that the future has the path to move forward. You don't hedge your bets on an aging diva who doesn't know his ass from his elbows or his mother's number when it comes to the fucking holidays. Period.
Now,
I just want to say real quick that Aaron Rodgers got a history of getting his coaches fired. So when I
Mike
saw
McCarthy
that
did it to himself, bro. Come on, bro.
So when I saw that Robert Saleh was fired, first of all, I thought he should have been fired last year.
Thank you.
I thought he should have been fired last year, but him going 2-3 and losing in London, that doesn't help, right? 3-2, right? Or 2-3?
2-3.
They're 2-3, but so many teams are 1-4.
Right. Not to mention our Giants, who were supposed to be 0-8, apparently, are also 2-3 at this point. So if they're comparing apples and oranges to each other, I'd hope they're not, because that's two different sides of the spectrum. I
think a big issue was that Denver game. The Jets should not have lost 10-9 to Denver, right? And I think if the Jets
that was on Aaron Rodgers, he threw 2 picks, didn't he?
He did, and I think he threw 3 in this game.
And he so whose fault is that?
Right. So I think if the Jets didn't lose to Denver, if the Jets did not lose to Denver, I think we're having a different conversation. But I will say this about Robert Saleh, the coach, right? Robert Saleh, and we've spoken about this in different sports, but especially football. There are people who make great head coaches. There are people who make great coordinators, right? Romeo Crennel, one of the best defensive coordinators you will ever see, has sucked as a head coach everywhere he's gone. Charlie Weiss, one of the best offensive minds you will ever see in football, sucked as a head coach. Hell, Adam Gase will go down as one of the best offensive coordinators in football, and yet was a protozoa of a human being as a head coach. Okay.
Rex Ryan was a shitty head coach.
Rex Ryan was a great head coach and a great defensive coordinator. He did both very, very well. Tom Coughlin, great defensive coordinator, great head coach.
Don't disrespect Rex. Don't do that.
No. So y'all wait, hold on. Y'all don't disrespect Rex, but y'all disrespect the quarterback, Mr. Butt Fumble, who got y'all to the damn playoffs.
There we go.
That was under who?
Tommy
That was
Jones didn't get us to the playoffs.
Bringing up bullshit.
Did it? I just want to know. I'm talking about Mark Sanchez. Wasn't he under Rex Ryan's?
He was, but he
watch
wasn't the star player of that team.
I'm
They
just
had no
I'm just
stars.
saying.
Their running backs
They-
were the stars under Rex.
Their running backs were their running backs and Darrell Revis.
And the defense, yeah. But here's the thing, right? Like,
Once Darrell Revis started getting mentioned on Love and Hip Hop, that star status was done.
my thing with Robert Saleh, the coach, was this:
I
you were
remember that.
hired. You were hired as a defensive specialist because you ran that San Francisco defense that was incredible for the last couple of years, and you were brought in to be the defensive guy here. Yet he doesn't call the defensive plays. In fact, the now interim head coach was calling the defensive plays. Okay, cool. You don't call the offensive plays because you're not an offensive person. So Nathaniel Hackett's calling the offensive plays. But then Robert Saleh is on the sideline, not really invested in doing anything. Robert Saleh is just on the sidelines. He's not calling plays. He's not changing defenses. He's not calling offense. He's not coaching special teams. To me, I had an issue with
Get
a
him
man
off the screen. He's being biased.
No, I'm being honest.
What about the show?
Right? Aaron Rodgers has a lot of blame in this and the way the Jets are playing. Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is 100% of the reason why the Jets are as bad as they are this year. I'm not placing the fact that the Jets are bad on Robert Saleh. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is,
bad. Isn't that crazy?
the Jets are bad. The
You
Jets,
think
their offense, they're going to trade for Devontae Adams. The Jets are going to trade for Devontae Adams because they're going to think if we get another one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets, it's going to make the offense better. And it's not. Aaron Rodgers has been slow in releasing the ball. He looks lost behind the offensive line. He looks like he lost his footwork. The man has thrown 5 interceptions in 2 games. Unless this man finds a bottle of Mike's secret stuff straight out of Space Jam 1, I don't understand how Aaron Rodgers is going to be a productive quarterback this season. I really don't. At this point, I wish the Jets would have gone with their original plan and gotten freaking David Carr. Right? I was not here for the Aaron Rodgers trade. I was hopeful that it was going to be good. I was hopeful that it would be good for the Jets, but I was not here for the trade. I did not think we needed to trade for Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I think Robert Saleh firing is unfair. But I also think, because Robert Saleh was handed a raw deal. You handed the man a rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson. You gave him two different offensive coordinators in 2 straight years with a brand new head coach and really nothing around him. And then he stunk up the place. And then you went and traded for Aaron Rodgers, who fucking went out in 4 snaps. And then now you're 2-3 in your first full year with your star quarterback, and you get fired. Robert Saleh got a raw deal.
Welcome to New York.
Word.
Welcome to New York.
Breaking news: Yankees win Game 3, 3-2 over the Kansas City Royals. They are up. They are up 2 games to 1. So if the Yankees win Game 4, they will punch their ticket to the ALCS. Once again, the Mets have already punched their ticket.
Rugged pound.
The Dodgers are up 5-0 right now on San Diego. So the Dodgers looking to
The Dodgers gonna beat the Mets ass, bro.
Boy, it's about to look
Dodgers
stupid.
coming for you.
So staying in football real quick, gotta ask. Kansas City.
Okay, Kuta Kente.
That's right. My name is Toby. Awesome knows who you are, son.
Matt, you haven't heard that live yet, right? You haven't been here.
Bro, bro, it's like every segment. That's
I'm the first time saying it tonight.
This was the first one of tonight.
Oh, man.
So you saved it for me, huh? It wasn't even to me. It was to Peter.
Listen, I will do a live action Kunta Kinte in 2024 if Tay does.
Not involved on the Yerrr Sports Show.
If Tay does Brunhilde from Django Unchained.
Oh my God.
Listen, let me tell you something. I didn't even like Django. Let me tell you something. I don't like them. I would be real.
You didn't like Django?
No, the slave movie be out of this world, bro.
Up in that bitch. I was the only person in the movie theater sitting there like I was dressed in all black. I had a black beret on. I was not playing.
You was offended.
I was looking at the crowd, surveying like, if I hear one of you call one of us, one of them, it's going to be a problem.
Someone would have been in the crowd. That's right.
So you were not good with Leonardo DiCaprio saying all of them words.
I never looked at him the same, and I had a crush on that man since I was 7 years old.
That man said he didn't want to do it though.
I believe it. I never looked at him the same. Matt, can you please stop daddy macking on the goddamn phone and get back
I'm
into
not
the
daddy
country?
macking. I'm checking. One, I'm checking the hurricane. One, I'm checking the hurricane, and two, my job was coming in.
Your goblets.
My job was calling me to come in.
That was like 2 hours ago. You
They
lying.
just called me and they just text me again. Yes.
It's meaning for you to go watch the damn kids.
But
you were talking
2-5-0 teams. 2-5-0 teams remain in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs, as if we're freaking surprised.
I am.
Well, no, I'm not surprised because I think the fix is in for the Kansas City Chiefs every year.
No, they're not winning the Super Bowl this year, just so you know.
Stop.
The things that I say usually come to pass.
Yeah, but stop because
Chiefs are 5-0. And the surprising Minnesota Vikings, led by Sam Darnold, are 5-0.
Celsius is great.
Looking at the upcoming schedule really quickly for both teams. Give me 1 second, pulling up the Chiefs' schedule right now.
The Vikings being 5-0 without Captain Kirk, it's crazy.
I'm gonna talk about.
Don't get it twisted. The Falcons look alright.
Yeah, they don't look alright. They look really good. They're really good.
They're a surprise.
Kirk Cousins is killing right now.
I love me
some Kirk.
I ain't going that far.
And this is a man who this is the third team. Okay. As great as he's playing, he played great for the Commanders. He played great for Minnesota, and now he's playing great for Atlanta.
Damn, we should have got him. We should have got him on one of these New York teams for sure, bro. Like,
he was a free agent.
Yeah, he was.
But when we're looking at Minnesota, next 5 games, they're on a bye this week. Minnesota's got Detroit, the Rams, Indy, Jacksonville, and Tennessee in their next 5 games. Kansas City's got San Francisco, the Raiders, Tampa Bay, Denver, and Buffalo. Do any of these teams have a chance to go 10-0?
No.
The Chiefs using black magic.
That's crazy.
That's the only way I see it happening, because if we really, really, really watching the Chiefs games, I know we all do. Patrick Mahomes is playing terrible. He is not playing good at all. So and they're figuring out a way to win, and it's not like one of those deals where it's like, oh yeah, the defense is doing it. No, the defense is playing. The whole team is not playing good. So for them to be where they're at right now, it's just like, So 10-0 is a stretch, but if they go 10-0, they're winning the Super Bowl.
Interesting thing is,
they become the Steelers from a couple years ago that went 11-0, and then they fall off a cliff at the end.
What about remember the Eagles too?
Yeah, the Eagles too.
I'm looking at this Kansas City
What the hell
schedule.
happened to them? Get a
And
little
they only have, 1, 2, 3? I think they only have about 4 or 5 tough games remaining on their schedule. San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, a game against Houston in week 16, and then Pittsburgh in week 17. Those are their only really tough games remaining on the schedule for the Chiefs.
They're going to beat Buffalo. They always do.
And if I'm looking at the Minnesota schedule, they've got Detroit in week 7, right? That might be the toughest game. Then they got a 4-game stretch, which a 5-game stretch. No, 6, sorry. 6-game stretch that I think they can win. The Rams, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Bears. And then the Cardinals. Then they play Atlanta, Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit to end the year. So Minnesota, in my opinion, has got a little bit of a tougher schedule. Kansas City's got a bit of an easier schedule. But, we didn't think we'd be talking about the Vikings this year because, remember, J.J. McCarthy was supposed to be the starting quarterback. And talk about a happy accident. Talk about a happy accident. J.J. McCarthy going down with an injury. Sam Darnold now in the MVP conversation as your starting quarterback. But here's a team no one thought they'd be talking about this year. Jaden Daniels and the Washington
football team
at 4-1. And in my opinion, the toughest game on their schedule coming up this week against Baltimore.
Matt, how do you feel about the Washington football team being 4-1?
Sounds like Sean's in a dog's ass once in a while. I'm not reading too much into it. I'm not gonna hold you. Look. What y'all just said, the Giants are 2 and 3. What does that tell you? Like, it's football. You can't put too much stock into these. One, you can't put too much stock into the standings right now because it's still really, really early within the season, and teams really start to show who they are probably like week 8. Really, like if there's any team that we can justify that shows their true colors around week 8, it's the Cowboys. So I mean,
Cowboys showing their face early. The Cowboys showing their face
exactly. So I again, and on top of that, I look at the conference that they're in and the division that they're in. That division is always fucking shaky. It's like you can't put too much stock in it because it's always the scheduling. It's the scheduling.
We might see a world where the Giants can make the playoffs because the NFC is trash. The NFC East is
exactly. So, but I can't even necessarily say that the Giants are trash.
They're not trash.
They're not trash. It's just
this is the
one time I can actually say teams in the NFC they're even. They're all fairly even. So it's like
weird.
Eagles who are like superior.
Eagles are horrible. Eagles are horrible.
They have the better roster. They're supposed to have the better roster.
But they're still horrible.
Coach.
They've been horrible though.
Bro, that's like
still
us
early.
looking. That's like us looking at the Bills in y'all conference and have
not
Bills
fucking reading into that shit either. I'm really not reading into Buffalo.
No, but to be honest with you, let me tell you something. There is no reason why the Cowboys, the Eagles, and a few of the 49ers.
49ers. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Those teams are playing awful. It's like they forgot.
There's no Christian McCaffrey, too. When we talk about the 49ers.
There's never a Christian McCaffrey. My boy's always there.
But that's what I'm saying. That's their go-to.
But your boy Brock Purdy's supposed to be playing for that.
Don't say my boy. Don't say my boy. Your boy.
In the promised land, but guess where we are right now? Kunta Kinte.
Don't say my boy.
I didn't like Brock Purdy. I didn't like Brock Purdy. I ain't go. I
you was picking up for MVP last season.
Like Brock Purdy.
Y'all say MVPs matter. Like MVPs don't matter.
I'm talking about Pete. He talking about our boy. You was the one picking him for MVP over Lamar Jackson. Don't do that.
I have no
Yo,
parts in
Lamar
that.
Jackson sounded country as hell on the damn TV on Monday. He
He
sounded
most certainly
country
did.
as hell.
He's from Virginia, ain't
Yeah, but damn,
he? He in the sticks
But
of
damn.
Virginia, if I'm not
he
mistaken.
in Baltimore now.
Yeah, he
Baltimore.
got
Ain't too
he got
far.
switch it up. He got switch it up.
Ain't too far. That's still in the area, DMV.
So but we talk about the NFC East. You talk about, again, the Giants do have an inside shot, I should say, because
Yeah,
Dallas
it's
and
definitely
Philly.
not an outside shot.
No, I would say an inside shot to that number 2 seed in the
Yeah.
NFC East, because
Mhm.
again, Washington. I'm looking at Washington's schedule here. I think the toughest game they've got coming up is this week against Baltimore, because then they play Carolina, Chicago, and the Giants. And then they got Pittsburgh. So then
Good
they
to
got
lose
Philly,
to Pittsburgh and the Giants.
Dallas. Right. Then
They
Philly.
could beat them both.
Right.
That's
I think the Baltimore game's the big test for the Commanders. I think they can beat Carolina, Chicago, and the Giants. I think the Pittsburgh game is a toss-up. Philly and Dallas back-to-back in weeks 11 and 12 are going to be interesting, depending on how those teams play. And then they've got Tennessee, New Orleans, Philly, Atlanta, and Dallas. Atlanta, I think the toughest game for them at the end of the season. I think the Commanders could be a very, very good team this year. And when you think of the Giants' schedule, I mean, they've got a couple more roadblocks. They've got Cincinnati, Philly, Pittsburgh, Washington, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Atlanta on their schedule. Daniel Jones is going to have to find something special. Because I believe it was our very own Queen Tay who said Daniel Jones is a bum.
Yeah, I'm co-signing what she said too, because he is. But as Matt said, sunlight shines once on the dog's ass. Whatever one of Matt's old
Sunshine shines on the dog's ass once in a while.
Right, that part. But like I said, we didn't do nothing in the off season to get a quarterback or get better. All we did was let go one of the better running backs in the league. But we sent him to a team that was supposed to be running the division, and they sucked.
Ain't doing the damn thing with him.
Right.
He had that great first game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dennis looks
That
bad, bro.
That was the pop-out game. That was like, yo, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, you here with them doing the same
and then
thing.
his knees reminded him of how old he was.
In running back years.
No.
Right,
no.
running back years.
They just don't know. I don't know what happened to our boy. What's his name again?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, yeah. Jalen Hurts is playing like Donovan McNabb, but then his
word, bro. That last outing, bro. I was
looking. I was like,
I feel like I was watching a college game the way, but then he don't got his target. He don't have two of his receivers, so
no, he doesn't. But they are.
So that plays a part too.
They're playing weird. The Giants.
I was expecting more from their defense, if anything. But they're not even really showing up. Yo, Venice looks horrible, bro.
Believe it or not, I was not expecting anything from their defense. I am not going to hold you. The defense was a little shaky towards the end of the season last year, and then they got exposed. And
the whole season.
The whole season, yeah. But towards the end, it was kind of like, this doesn't look good at all. I think, but I want to jump forward real quick. We're talking about those 5-0 teams, right? The team that we just spoke about, the 4-1 team, the Commanders, right? They are doing this with a rookie quarterback, with no wide receivers on that team.
No, they've got Terry McLaurin. We're not going to act like Terry McLaurin is not a good wide receiver.
Is Terry McLaurin a top 10 wide receiver? Or is he slightly
Talent-wise, yes. Talent-wise, yes. What his numbers have been recently, because he hasn't had a quarterback that can throw the ball, no. But Terry McLaurin, talent-wise, yes. And I think if Terry McLaurin was made available by the Washington Commanders, you would see team after team after team line up to get him. Terry McLaurin, talent-wise, is a top 10 wide receiver.
Okay. Now, outside of McLaurin, who else is he throwing it to?
That's about it. He's basically running the ball himself too.
Right. So
I mean, you saying rookie quarterback like what's the name from Houston wasn't killing CJ Stroud.
That's what I was getting to.
Oh, man.
Right. That's exactly what I was getting to. So,
their second best receiver on the team right now has been their tight end Zach Ertz, and then their running back Austin Eckler.
All right, never mind. Disregard what I said about not having anybody to throw it to, because Austin Eckler and Zach Ertz are definitely prime targets. But one thing about Washington is that their defense has been good for a while. They've had trash offense for a long time, even when Kirk Cousins was there. But their defense has always stood teams up and also knocked teams out of playoff contention. So it's nice to see that they have it all put together, at least for right now, because they can also be the Steelers and go on this legendary run and then just fall flat. So we'll see. But the NFC East has a chance to be real nasty at the end of the year, where a team every one of those teams could possibly knock each other out of playoff contention.
You mentioned a name that I want to kind of make a last question in the NFL about this person.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins threw over 4,000 yards 3 years in a row with Washington. Threw over 4,000 yards, four out of his 6 years with Minnesota.
Right.
Took Washington to the playoffs. Took Minnesota to the playoffs. Right now, he is at
one of them teams.
He is almost at 14. He is almost at 1,400 yards right now with Atlanta. If he throws for over 4,000 yards again with Atlanta, and he brings Atlanta to the playoffs, does Kirk Cousins get the respect that no one gives him?
Well, Kirk Cousins at this point is going to go in the Hall. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame just for that.
Fuck that.
I get where Matt's coming. I get where Matt's coming from, because Kirk Cousins is basically better in season quarterback than Dak Prescott at this point. But
that's a fucking fact.
He's never been a problem. He did all 6 years on his rookie contract in Washington. Right. Never asked for a trade. Didn't even play most of his first 3 years in Washington. Right? He only really played his last 3 years in Washington. He went to Minnesota, signed a fully guaranteed contract for 6 years, and showed out. The only bad year he had was last year when he was injured for half the season. And now he's in Atlanta. This is a man who has never been a problem on any team he's been on, has took both of his teams to the playoffs, has thrown for over 4,000 yards with every team that he's been on, and for every team that he's been on, thrown over 25 touchdowns in every year that he started a full season. If he does it again with Atlanta, first of all, you never hear of a quarterback of that caliber being on the third team and doing it 3 times with 3 teams. I think Kirk Cousins deserves some respect on his name if he's able to do that again with Atlanta.
I agree with you in theory.
I love Kirk Cousins, so yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that he's not going to get the respect, because if we got to keep the same energy with Kirk Cousins that we're doing with the rest of these quarterbacks, and because he plays at an elite, right, and he's playing at pretty much an elite level, we can say that an elite level during the season, there should be no reason why that level of play shouldn't translate into the playoffs, at least get to the second round.
Or at least more than one fucking playoff win.
Right, more than one playoff win.
Also, not him breaking the record that Matt Ryan held in his last game. He threw for 509 yards with 72.4% completion percentage, breaking the record, I believe, for yards thrown in a game by an Atlanta quarterback which was previously held by Matt Ryan. By the way, on the night they were honoring Matt Ryan in Atlanta.
For what?
Hey.
From winning the fucking Super Bowl?
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching us or listening to us from Florida, or you have friends and family in Florida that are currently being affected by Hurricane Milton, the best we can do, our thoughts and prayers, our love go out to you. We hope everybody stays safe. If you are out there, we hope you are safe. If you have friends and family out there, we do hope they are safe. We are really hoping that everybody is able to get through the night in the next couple of days as Milton makes its way through Florida. I myself have family on both the west and the east side of Florida, so I have family that will be affected by its landfall tonight and its eventual push through Florida. It's devastating what has happened in Florida with Helene and now Milton back to back. We just really want to send out love and thoughts to everybody out there, and we just hope everybody's able to get through this safely.